I'm tired. I'm tired of fighting with all these people who I generally agree with. And so now, of course, Karen put Ann Coulter on to crown the cake today. Another naysayer about the strike in Syria. How you doing, Ann?
Well, now I'm totally confused. Did you just see Rex Tillerson, the Secretary of State, is holding a press conference at this very moment?
Yes.
I thought we had finally knocked some sense into the president with the defense secretary's press conference yesterday, which was quite comforting, contrary to all these Dr. Strangelove generals demanding World War III with Russia and regime change in Syria, because that always goes so well. Mattis's press conference yesterday, which was very official, he's sitting at a dais with another general, and he indicated that this strike was a limited strike just to respond to the chemical weapons and take out any remaining chemical weapons that Assad has. And by the way, I don't believe these were Assad's chemical weapons, but we'll put a pin on that and move on. Okay, so
whose were they?
The rebels. Okay, we won't put a pin on that.
Okay,
We'll finish that.
Yeah, okay.
And then I'll come back to this madman Rex Tillerson and what he's saying right now. For one thing, Syria has been falsely accused before. Someone tipped me off this. I looked it up yesterday. Do you know they were blamed for Lockerbie for years?
Yes.
Years and years and years.
Yes.
The 2013 chemical weapons strike, there were some questions raised about this one or that one, but at least that had some military objective. There's always there were arguments that no, the rebels have sarin gas. It's very easy to make. Takes only 2 chemicals. But this one, it's insane. It doesn't make any sense. This civil war has been going on for 7 years. 500,000 people have been killed. Assad has won. It's basically over. The United States has said, we have no problem with Assad. This is great. He's fighting the rebels, which contains ISIS and Al-Qaeda. The rebels are basically defeated. Why 2 days later would he launch an attack to kill 70 people that would bring international condemnation on him? It doesn't make any sense. And the New York Times response to that this weekend, to many people saying, scratching their heads saying, it doesn't make any sense for him to do this. The New York Times response is, that's precisely why he did it. It is crazy that he would use chemical weapons to kill 70 people in a war where 500,000 have already been killed with conventional weapons. But he wanted to do something crazy to prove to the rebels, I can even do something insane and no one will respond. Well, okay, this is like global warming. This is a theory incapable of disproof then.
Well, look, the bottom line...
And by the way, I don't care. It's still not a vital national security interest, which is why...
it is when you have 1,000 troops on the ground there on whom this sarin gas could just as easily be deployed. That makes it a national security interest to me.
Well, maybe get those troops out. What happens in Syria is of no interest to the United States. Every time we go into these disasters, when have we ever turned a third world dictatorship into some paradise? Whenever we meddle, it turns out worse. In Iran, in Iraq, in Egypt, in Libya, this has never, ever worked. It has destroyed presidencies. This is not what President Trump ran on. He was very clear over and over and over again he would not get involved in Syria. Assad is fighting ISIS. Let them fight it out. And he said quite correctly, Assad is better than the people he's fighting. I mean, it's ISIS. Assad, I mean, the thing that... what's his name? Sean Spicer did yesterday, that Holocaust thing. I hate these hysterias over someone stumbling over his words. It was obviously a stumble. Right. But to take the other side, oh, come on. You're comparing Assad to Hitler. Give me a break. He's a weak-chinned dentist. He's among the best in that barbaric region of the world, other than maybe Jordan and, I don't know, maybe another country. He's no Saddam Hussein. There are no rape rooms. You don't even have what we have in many of our precious allies countries, these Islamic police slapping women around and throwing gays off buildings.
No, he's a secular leader.
The Christians are terrified Assad will be taken out. They will be wiped out by the rebels if Assad goes.
No, listen, there is absolutely an important point that was made, and that is that this is a president who, when red lines are drawn and crossed, he will react. I think, look, as I said to Pat Buchanan earlier, when Ronald Reagan fired the PATCO, the union workers, it was Mikhail Gorbachev who learned his lesson. Sometimes strong people have to show that they mean business, and what better way than to stop the genocide in Syria? And you may feel it's the rebels who had the sarin gas. I don't agree. There seems to be substantial evidence coming out of the military that it was Assad. And at some point, we have to stop being sissies. That doesn't mean we want regime change, but we're not going to let people violate every kind of international code and not respond. It makes America look weak. Look at Rex Tillerson's there today, and all of a sudden now Vladimir Putin says, okay, well, maybe I will meet with him.
Well, a few things. Again, I don't care if it was Assad who used these chemical weapons. I'm tired of regime change. I'm tired of war. But this, again, is not the first time we've had a Reichstag fire for some pointless war. But in the Gulf War, famously, we were told that, Iraqi troops were rushing in and throwing always the babies. It's always the children, taking babies out of Kuwaiti hospitals and pulling them out of incubators, throwing them on the floor. Congressional testimony from an alleged nurse who witnessed this, an eyewitness herself, and then people looked at her and said, wait a second, that's not a nurse. That's the Kuwaiti ambassador's daughter. And it was. The whole thing was a hoax. It turns out that weapons of mass destruction, you and I had other reasons for wanting to fight the Iraq war, though I don't think I'd do it again, knowing that Obama would come in and give away our victory. But the weapons of mass destruction was played up not by you and me, but by people in the administration, a slam-dunk case. We have been lied to over and over in cases like this, and I do not think it shows toughness. I think it shows everything Trump's enemies said about him, that he's erratic, that he's emotional, that he's desperate for approval. It wasn't because they violated some horrible, laws of war and humanity. I've never understood why it is so much worse to die by a chemical than to have your head shot off or to have your head chopped off. 500,000 people have died already. This was 70 people. It makes no sense whether or not he did it. The reason Trump went in was because Ivanka cried. That not only makes him look pathetic and weak, but, what do our enemies, and we see
I don't believe
TV.
that. Now you're parroting what they're saying on MSNBC. Ivanka cried. I don't think that's why he went in there. I think that he has a genuine group of generals around him who said, look, we can pull this mission off. We can do it in one strike, and it will show that you mean business. Ivanka cried. That's what Rachel Maddow says.
That isn't MSNBC. That's been widely reported and is consistent with Ivanka's tweets on the subject. And to hear Trump come out and say, that treacly nonsense of, none of God's children should ever suffer like this. I got to have news for him. A lot of God's children are suffering, and they're suffering right here in America, and he promised us he would be the president of America, not president of the world. And yes, it looks like it was being dialed back to what you're describing now. But wait, before we get to that, no, this is absolutely the worst message we can send. We can see what America's enemies want us to do. They want us to deplete our power. It's the destruction of all great powers to just keep going to war, keep going to war. We lose our best Americans. We waste so much money, and we accomplish nothing. China, Russia, the terrorists, they would love nothing more than for Trump to spend his presidency on pointless wars, more and more Iraqs. What did we get out of Iraq? What did we get out of the first Gulf War? What did we get out of Vietnam?
Well, he would have gotten oil.
What are we still doing in Afghanistan? It just hurts our country. This is why Trump won. If you wanted to vote for somebody who was going to start these wars, there were plenty of other candidates. And as of
it's not why Trump won, though.
This is not a strategic strike.
You and I
That's
both.
not what Tillerson just said.
Right, but you and I both know that is not why he won. He won because he wanted to build a wall and to keep illegal immigrants out of this country. That's why he won.
No time for that if we're at war with Syria.
Well, listen, that's a separate project, and there may be no money for it, according to this weak-kneed Congress. But, that's a whole other subject.
Well, we could have saved a little money if we didn't send 59 Tomahawk missiles. Raytheon, all these military contractors, they're doing fabulously well. This is the military-industrial complex. This is the neocons. This is the Jeb Bush administration. And, yeah, I thought Trump had dialed it back because of pressure from his supporters and, frankly, a lot of swing voters who thought, yeah, finally, we're going to take care of America first. Yesterday's press conference with the defense secretary was fantastic. He was saying at least what you were saying. This is a limited one-time strike. Other than this, our policy toward Assad and Syria has not changed. Right before I came on the phone with you, I see Tillerson over in Russia saying, we are seeking the end of Assad. We want regime change.
Well, and he's also saying...
That's the end of the wall. That's the end of deportations. That's the end of everything we were promised, because his entire term will be eaten up with this stupid, pointless war that will leave Syria in the hands of ISIS and wipe out the Syrian Christians.
Well, I don't think that's what's going to happen, Ann. I really don't. I think that he has struck some fear into the hearts of some of these people. I think Assad will do what Papa Doc did, and he'll get the hell out of town now.
Right, then ISIS takes over.
Well, look, then we beat ISIS. But we have to do that. We can't just allow the situation to be on hold.
Why not?
Well, it's not, it's inhumane.
Why is that our problem? These are barbaric savages. We are not going to turn the Middle East into a democracy. Not any of those countries.
No, and then
why
the people...
Why do we care? And of all of them, why not Saudi Arabia? They're a million times worse.
Well, listen, as far as I'm concerned, they end up in Europe and here if we don't fix this. You can't just keep running away from what's the biggest...
That's why we need the immigration issue.
Well, we've got that.
Not invade the world, invite the world. Don't invite the world, don't invade the world.
Well, listen, I guess I'm really kind of surprised because you seem so dug in on this, and I really think you're not thinking about the imaging that goes along with this. It's important, Ann. We have been weak for a long, long time. We have lost a lot of battles. I don't believe Donald Trump will lose many battles.
Yeah, show some strength by building the wall.
Well, I agree.
Strength by, how about this? How much strength would it take for his Homeland Security director to simply end Obama's unconstitutional policy of issuing work permits to illegal aliens? He can't even do that. Republicans ran on that in 2014. Trump ran on that. He will not do it. We are admitting more refugees than we did under Bush. That has not ended. Nothing, other than Sessions as Attorney General, nothing is being done on the immigration front. And now we have another pointless war that will consume him.
It's not a war.
And will lie to us and tell us we're going to protect all the innocents wherever they're harmed in the world. Yeah, apparently except in our country.
Oh, geez, Ann, you're on a tear. You're really on a roll here, girlfriend. You sound like Michael Savage today.
I sound like a Trump supporter.
Well, no, I sound like a Trump supporter. There are some things, though, that are first of all, you can't decide what you're going to do until you're actually in possession of the information. And he was not in possession of the information until he got
everything he said was absolutely right. There is no new information. There's been a civil war going on for 7 years. Are we going to keep getting involved in every bar fight in the rest of the world and take the side of the loser? The loser comes to power and ends up oppressing the people more than the alleged dictator we were taking out. Most countries aren't pleasant places. If we're going after Assad, like I say, this mild-mannered dentist who inherited the job from his father, you don't. It's one of the best countries in the Middle East for how people are treated. It would be a lot easier for you and me to live in Damascus than it would be to live any place in Saudi Arabia.
Not anymore,
But, no, we can't go after Saudi Arabia. Well, why not? If these are the principles in which we go to war, we have to go to war with the entire Middle East, which, by the way, is what General H.R. McMaster said this weekend. It's our duty to resolve the entire Middle East.
No.
Oh, come on.
Listen, and it was our duty to respond, I believe, in this case, particularly in light of the fact that the prior president had drawn that red line, and the red line was repeatedly
crossed. It was stupid
crossed.
to draw the line, but I'm glad he didn't attack. Trump was right. What he said on the campaign trail, I'm not starting World War III over Syria. We have no interest. Assad is better than the people he's fighting.
Yeah, I think this is more about Russia than it is about Assad, so we'll have to see, because that has to play
Russia
out.
Too. They're fighting Islamic terrorists.
Well, sort of, and they're also, they're also fighting innocent people in other parts of the world.
As opposed to Saudi Arabia, Indonesia.
No, I'm with you.
Look at what Merkel is doing. Why don't we go to war with Germany? Because she's doing a lot more damage to the entire continent of Europe, and I care a lot more about Europe than I do about the Middle East.
There you go. Well, it's part of the problem is the Middle East is feeding these refugees into Europe. So it's all connected, and it's lovely to let you rage like that. You have to feel better now.
No, not after seeing Tillerson. I felt better after the Mattis press conference yesterday. It's crazy. And by the way, when any administration tells this many lies, they ought to rethink the policy. It's just like with Harriet Miers when the White House was telling us she's the most qualified woman for the job, and, oh, you just don't want a woman in that position. This is the first time Trump has told a lie. He never lies. He puffs. And the media run around screaming, oh, it's a lie, this tiny little exaggeration. Oh, it's the greatest golf course in the world. To claim that this was a vital national security interest is a lie. To claim that we are going to act whenever an innocent child is harmed, that is a lie. Everything they are...
You hope it's a lie, you're saying.
These strange Lovian generals are saying, yeah, I hope it's a lie, too. He's got to get rid of these guys. They're insane. Oh, and our von Clausewitz war strategist, Nikki Haley.
Oh, listen, I'm a big admirer of Nikki Haley's. I'm not a code pink Republican. I never was. I think you've taken a position that I can't defend.
Well, it's the position that Trump took on the campaign trail.
Mm-hmm. You're right. It wasn't one of the areas where I was in agreement with him, though. And I was hoping that he would change his mind once he got to the White House, and he has.
You can't do both. We can't. It's not going to work. We're not going to clean up the rest of the world. It has never worked. It drags down every president. That is exactly why the media is so thrilled. He's destroying his presidency.
Oh, they're not thrilled. They think
money.
It's a conspiracy that he and Putin thought this up together. It's crazy time, man, in America, and that's why I say it's finally, there's somebody actually in control, and you may not like these generals.
Not really. He's not in control of the border.
No, listen. According to Jeff Sessions, they are in control of the border. Anyway, I've run out of time. My producer's looking at me like I had a nervous breakdown here, but it was Ann that was having the nervous breakdown. You can't cut her off when she's like that. All right, honey, I will talk to you soon. Just calm down.
Good to talk to you, Joyce.
All right. I don't think she thought it was good to talk to me today at all. Let's take a break.